Have you ever wondered how anxiety could dictate the course of your life? It's a question that may seem abstract or even irrelevant to some, but for those who grapple with anxiety, it's a daily reality. Anxiety, in its many forms, has the power to shape and steer our lives in ways we may not even realize. Consider this. You wake up in the morning and before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already racing with thoughts, worries, and what-ifs. That's anxiety. It's there when you're making breakfast, when you're driving to work, when you're trying to focus on your tasks. It's the constant hum in the background of your life, the uninvited guest that overstays its welcome. And it's not just about feeling worried or stressed. Anxiety can manifest in physical symptoms too, those knots in your stomach, the tension in your shoulders, the racing heartbeat, all signs of anxiety making its presence felt. The influence of anxiety extends beyond our personal lives, seeping into our relationships with others. It can make us more irritable, more defensive, and less open to connection. It can cause us to withdraw, to avoid situations that make us anxious, and in the process limit our experiences and opportunities. But anxiety is not a one-size-fits-all condition. There are several types of anxiety disorders, each with their own unique set of symptoms and challenges. Generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, specific phobias, and others all fall under the umbrella of anxiety disorders. Each one can profoundly impact the quality of life of those who live with them. And yet, despite the pervasiveness and impact of anxiety, it remains a misunderstood and often stigmatized condition. Many people struggle in silence, not realizing that what they're experiencing is not simply normal stress, but a genuine mental health condition that requires attention and care. Just imagine what your life could be like if you could better manage these feelings of anxiety. What if you could navigate your day without that constant hum of worry in the background? What if you could approach challenging situations with a sense of calm and confidence? It may seem like an impossible dream, but it's a goal that's within reach for many, with the right understanding and tools at their disposal. Consider John, a man whose life became a battlefield thanks to his crippling anxiety. Let's delve a little deeper into his story. John was your average chap, enjoying his work as a software engineer and cherishing his time with family and friends. However, the specter of anxiety began to cast its long, dark shadow over his life. It first reared its ugly head in the form of persistent worrying about everyday matters. John found himself constantly fretting about tasks at work, social interactions, health, and even mundane activities like grocery shopping or taking a walk. As time went on, these anxieties grew stronger, transforming into a seemingly insurmountable wall. He began to lose sleep, his mind racing with 1,000 what-ifs every night. His performance at work started to slip, his concentration shattered by the incessant hum of worry that echoed in his mind. His relationships began to strain as he withdrew, preferring the isolation of his thoughts to the company of loved ones. John's personal well-being took the hardest hit. His anxiety started manifesting physically with heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and a constant sense of dread. He found himself in a vicious cycle, his anxiety triggering these symptoms, which in turn fueled his anxiety. It felt as if he was trapped in a relentless whirlwind, unable to escape. The world as John knew it was crumbling around him. His once vibrant life was now colored with the bleak hues of anxiety. However, amidst the chaos, a beacon of hope emerged in the form of a therapeutic approach known as cognitive behavioral therapy. John's life was in turmoil, but there was a glimmer of hope: cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a type of psychotherapy that can help people like John manage their anxiety. Picture this, if you will. Imagine being able to replace your worrisome thoughts with more balanced, rational ones, to change your anxious behaviors into more adaptive ones. That, my friends, is the essence of cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT is a hands-on, practical approach to problem solving. It's a short-term treatment that aims to change patterns of thinking or behavior that are causing one's difficulties and thereby change the way they feel. At its core, CBT is based on the idea that our thoughts, not external events, affect the way we feel. In other words, it's not the situation you're in that determines how you feel, but your perception of the situation. This is a powerful realization, isn't it? Now let's delve a little deeper. CBT is not a single method, but a collection of multiple techniques that help individuals become aware of their irrational negative thinking so they can view challenging situations more clearly and respond to them more effectively. CBT therapists work with individuals to identify problematic thoughts and behaviors, challenge their validity, and ultimately replace them with healthier alternatives. This process can significantly reduce anxiety and improve quality of life. And here's the best part: CBT is not a never-ending process. It's typically conducted over a set period, often between 5 and 20 sessions. The goal is for the individual to become their own therapist, equipped with the tools and strategies to manage their anxiety independently. Now, remember John from our case study, the man whose life was once ruled by anxiety? Well, he embarked on a journey of change, a journey of cognitive behavioral therapy. His life, once overshadowed by a constant cloud of worry, was about to undergo a transformation. So how did CBT help John reclaim his life from the clutches of anxiety? John's journey with CBT began with identifying the thoughts that fueled his anxiety. The first step in John's cognitive behavioral therapy was recognizing the negative thought patterns that were perpetuating his anxiety. His therapist played an instrumental role here, guiding John in understanding how his mind was distorting his perception of reality. They spent countless hours dissecting his fears, insecurities, and worries, peeling back the layers of his thought processes to find the root causes. For instance, John had a pervasive fear of social events. He believed he would inevitably embarrass himself and that others would judge him harshly. His therapist helped him understand that these were not facts, but rather unhelpful thoughts that were feeding his anxiety. Together, they began the process of challenging these thoughts. John was encouraged to question the validity of his fears. Was it a fact that he would embarrass himself? Could he know for certain that others were judging him? More often than not, he found that his fears were based on assumptions rather than evidence. But recognizing and challenging negative thoughts was only part of the journey. The next step was to replace these with healthier, more realistic ones. John's therapist provided him with various strategies to do this. One such strategy was cognitive restructuring, where John learned to identify and challenge his negative thoughts, then replace them with more positive ones. For example, instead of thinking, "I will embarrass myself to eat," he was taught to think, "I might make a mistake, but that's okay, everyone does." Now let's talk about the behavioral component of CBT. While it's vital to address the cognitive aspect, the thought patterns, it's equally important to address the behaviors that result from these thoughts. In John's case, he had been avoiding social events due to his anxiety. His therapist encouraged him to confront these situations rather than avoiding them. John started small, attending events with a few close friends before gradually moving on to larger gatherings. It wasn't easy. There were times when his anxiety threatened to overwhelm him, but each time he faced his fears, he was taking back control from his anxiety. He learned that the anticipation of the event was often worse than the event itself, and with each successful experience, his confidence grew. John's journey with cognitive behavioral therapy was certainly not a walk in the park. He had to confront his deepest fears and challenge long-held beliefs, but the rewards were well worth the effort. He learned to control his thoughts rather than letting them control him. He learned to face situations that he had been avoiding. And most importantly, he learned that he was more than his anxiety. John's journey wasn't easy, but the results were transformative. As John changed his thoughts and behaviors, he began to notice a remarkable shift in his life. Our journey with John, once shackled by the chains of anxiety, now takes us through a landscape of transformation. His life began to glow with a brightness he hadn't experienced in years. He was no longer a prisoner in his mind, but a man in control of his destiny. The first sign of change was evident in his job performance. John's anxiety had often paralyzed him with fear of failure, causing him to stumble in his professional life. But as he learned to challenge these negative thoughts, he found himself growing more confident and competent. His productivity increased, His interactions with colleagues became more constructive, and he began to find satisfaction in his work that he had not felt for a long time. The transformation didn't stop at the workplace, it seeped into his personal relationships as well. John's loved ones had grown accustomed to his anxious tendencies, often walking on eggshells around him, but as John learned to manage his anxiety, he became more present, more engaged. He was able to listen, to communicate, to connect on a deeper level. His relationships blossomed like a garden in spring, filling his life with warmth and companionship. But the most profound change was in John himself. His overall well-being skyrocketed. He slept better, ate healthier, and even found time for hobbies he once thought he had no time for. He found joy in simple pleasures like reading a book or going for a walk. His life was no longer dictated by fear, but by choice and control. What's more, John felt empowered. He realized that he was not at the mercy of his anxiety, but rather he had the tools to manage it. He was no longer a victim, but a victor. The change was not overnight, nor was it easy, but John proved that with persistence and the right therapy, one can reclaim their life from the clutches of anxiety. John's story is a testament to the power of cognitive behavioral therapy. John's story illuminates the pivotal role cognitive behavioral therapy can play in managing anxiety. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT for short, is a powerhouse when it comes to tackling anxiety, but what makes it so effective? Let's delve into the key points. First and foremost, CBT revolves around the concept of change. It's not about dwelling on the past, but rather focusing on the present and the future. It's about shifting negative thought patterns into positive ones and transforming destructive behaviors into constructive actions. One of the cornerstones of CBT is the idea that our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. When we change one, we inherently influence the others. For example, if we alter a negative thought, we can subsequently impact the associated feelings and behaviors. This is the essence of CBT and one of the reasons it's so potent in managing anxiety. CBT is also grounded in practicality. It's not just about talking, but about doing. It involves learning new skills, practicing them, and applying them to real-life situations. This hands-on approach provides individuals with the tools they need to navigate the challenges of anxiety. Moreover, CBT is evidence-based. Numerous studies have shown its effectiveness in treating a variety of mental health disorders, particularly anxiety. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but rather it's tailored to the individual. This personalized nature of CBT makes it a powerful tool in improving one's quality of life. One important thing to note about CBT is that it's not an overnight fix. It requires commitment, practice, and patience, but the rewards can be significant. As we've seen with John, it can lead to a greater understanding of oneself, improved coping mechanisms, and overall a better, more fulfilling life. Remember, like John, you too have the power to change your life. Cognitive behavioral therapy could be your first step on this journey. Anxiety can be a formidable foe, but with the right tools, it doesn't have to rule your life. Our journey today has taken us through the labyrinth of anxiety, its impact, and the transformative power of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. We've delved into the story of John, whose life was significantly improved by this therapeutic approach. We hope this has demonstrated that while anxiety is a powerful force, it doesn't have to be an unassailable one. If you find yourself in the grips of anxiety, remember, you're not alone. Millions around the world are on the same journey. There's a commonality in our human experience, a shared struggle that connects us all. And there's a shared solution too. One that's been tested, proven, and refined over the years: cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT isn't a magic wand, and it isn't a quick fix. It's a process, a journey. It requires commitment, patience, and courage. But the destination, a life less burdened by anxiety, is surely worth the journey. It's important to understand that seeking help isn't a sign of weakness, but of strength. It takes courage to acknowledge our struggles, and even more to seek help, and when we do, we open the door to possibilities, to growth, to transformation. Cognitive behavioral therapy has the potential to be a beacon of hope, a lifeline in the stormy seas of anxiety. It offers a way to reshape our thoughts, our behaviors, and ultimately our lives. Its power lies in its ability to empower us, to give us the tools we need to manage our anxiety. So if you're wrestling with anxiety, remember, there's no shame in seeking help. In fact, it's the bravest thing you can do. Reach out, take that first step. There's a world of help waiting for you, a world where anxiety doesn't have to be your constant companion. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of cognitive behavioral therapy. Remember, there's always hope, and help is just a step away.